Hey there everyone, Zare here.
And Lit?
And welcome to Wander No More. Why are you still saying that? Technology is not working today. Technology was a mistake. Anyways, since our first backup went by so quickly, here's a second backup. This should be a slightly meatier kinetic novel. I have labeled this as a fresh playthrough, but I believe I have actually gone through this story once before, not on stream, on my own time. It's been a while. I can't really remember much significant about it. So it'll be as if it's new until it suddenly isn't. Alright, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Wander No More takes place on an alternate Earth. Though obviously based off feudal Japan, the towns described in WNM are completely fictional, as are the characters, events, and so on. Any similarities to real people, places, or events are entirely coincidental. Do not expect historical references or any mention of real wars or events. WNM is just an indie game that was made to be enjoyed. I understand.
Okay.
You're not really giving me much character to work off here.
I don't even know how old they are. Like, they could be like a teenager, older.
Well, I will go with one voice and amend as appropriate.
Hmm.
When I was a boy, joining the Kotokushi was my dream. Every day I heard tales of their exploits, whether they were protecting our land, driving away enemy forces, or taking the fight directly to them. They were hailed as an elite military force, devoted to protecting and expanding my kingdom's reach, and always serving the people righteously. Thanks to them, we could live without fear of being conquered. In fact, our territory actually expanded as time went on, all thanks to their tireless efforts and unyielding bravery. The Kotokushi were truly our saviors, the most forthright, noble souls in the country, if not the world. Believing that from the bottom of my heart, I trained every day, single-mindedly working towards my goal of joining the Kotokushi. I grew up to be strong, fast, flexible, beyond the reach of any of my peers. As a result, before I even reached adulthood, I was already a top contender to join the Kotokushi, and the day I hit 18, I was welcomed with open arms. It was the happiest moment of my life. A decade of training had paid off, and my dream had been realized. Or so I thought. The village standing before me now, burned to a crisp and devoid of human life, was the work of the Kotokushi. It was not an enemy village. There were no combatants to be found here, nor did its inhabitants pose any threat. It was just an ordinary, everyday village, stuck between two opposing kingdoms. And for the Kotokushi, that was reason enough. After joining the Kotokushi, I quickly realized that our work was neither noble nor righteous. We were not saviors of the people. We were not almighty defenders protecting innocent civilians from harm. We were a death squad. Every day we would venture forth, treading just a little bit further away from home, searching for the enemy. An honorable task, to be sure. We would drive away any threats before they could further encroach upon our land, taking the fight away from innocent passers-by. But as I soon learned, the Kotokushi's definition of an enemy differed vastly from my own. Any village not under our kingdom's direct control, or not paying us a protection fee, would be decimated.
Oh.
By the mob.
The mob. Yep.
Thousands of innocent people whose only crime was to not grow up under our jurisdiction were killed in cold blood, never even given the chance to surrender. We slaughtered men, women, and children, even newborn babies, all in the name of our lord, the Emperor.
Ugh.
Should have known they would follow me here. Nobody leaves the Kotokushi alive, no matter how high their rank or how long they served. Now, because I chose to flee here, those people are all
The bastard isn't here either.
Oh, hey, there's voice.
Oh, wow.
Are we even going the right way? This is Captain Nabatame we're talking about. He knows how we operate. He's probably heading in the opposite direction.
Damn. I hadn't Let's keep moving. Wherever he's headed, Captain Nabatame isn't here.
I watched in silence from a nearby forest as the last of the Kotokushi moved on. I had successfully evaded their surveillance and hidden myself by blending in with my surroundings, just as the Kotokushi themselves had taught me. So I waited, patiently biding my time until the last unit left my sight, at which point I could finally relax once more. Those bloodhounds don't give up. It's understandable that they would want to silence me, given what I know, but to chase me this far away from the kingdom, even I won't be able to evade them forever. Though still a light, I returned to... Though still a light, I returned to the village the Kotokushi had just passed through. I've been running for weeks and I desperately needed food and water, much more than I could find while fleeing through desolate wastelands and forest. If I hurry, maybe I can find some supplies before they're all burned to ash. I don't care what it is. At this point, plain rice and water would be enough. With that simple goal in mind, I wandered around the village, quickly checking each building for scraps of food. I put out fires where I could, using sheets and other miscellaneous pieces of cloth to deny oxygen to the flames. As far as food was concerned, I found nothing. Only bloody corpses and scorched rations remain, leaving me without a single morsel to eat. But hey now, in an emergency, you just described some. I do not condone that, no. Come on, there has to be something edible around here that hasn't been torched. How poor does a village have to be to not have... I'm just going to quickly see if I can turn off voice. Not that I dislike the voice or anything, but I like to give Lith a chance here.
I think that was a...
It is a girl, it is. It would help kind of distinguishing who these mystery characters are, but they're not barks, they're full lines.
Okay.
Okay, so you're the triple threat.
Okay.
As I frantically searched for food, I heard a faint whimper from within one of the houses. I immediately abandoned my search and headed to the next house over, quickly putting out the flames as I listened for the voice I had heard moments ago. But even without another sound to go on, there was only one other room in the house. And the moment I opened the door, I saw... a girl.
Ooh. Mama? Papa?
Within a burning village, one in which no survivors should have remained, was a young girl. A single girl, crying alone in a house's storeroom, surrounded by rations I would have killed for mere minutes ago. As my gaze rested on the girl, however, food was the last thing on my mind. All I could see was a young girl, orphaned by an unwarranted, unprovoked attack, for which I was responsible. Amazing. This little girl actually managed to hide herself from the Kotokushi. I'm the one they're after, of course. They've been pursuing me for weeks now, so it's not unthinkable that a few innocents might escape their grasp. I realize there is an elephant in this room, but like the fact that there's a survivor here is being made a big deal.
For now.
Even so.
Huh?
I opened the storeroom's door wider, revealing my presence to the girl sobbing within. She gazed at me in shock, not expecting to be discovered, and no doubt wondering whether I was friend or foe. And once her eyes made their way to the katana at my hip, she had her answer.
Mama? Papa? Help me?
Once again crying out for her parents, the young girl moved back, trying to put as much distance between us as she could. She pushed back with her legs, scraping her tattered yukata on the floor while tightly holding something in her hand. Even as she almost tipped over, the girl didn't use her hands. She instead grasped tightly at her wrist, refusing to let go. That was when I realized that this girl had lost more than just her family. This poor girl. She can't be any older than 14 years old, and yet she's already lost not only her family, but also a limb. Even if she survives, life isn't going to be easy for her. Everyone she once knew is now dead, and her village will need repairs impossible for a girl with one hand. Would it be kinder of me to end her misery? I put my hand on the hilt of my katana, which dangled warily from my hip. As I did so, the girl before me let out an inaudible whimper and froze on the spot. Little girl, what's your name? The girl opened her mouth to speak, but hesitated to actually respond. Her vocal cords, like the rest of her body, froze in my presence, wary that the blade at my hip was not just for show. Though barely audible, the girl before me answered, her voice wavering as she did. Tell me, Chio, do you want to live? Chio continued to stare at me with fear in her eyes, likely interpreting my question as a threat.
I don't know.
There's no no, it's just an I don't something. I see. I drew my katana from its sheath and pointed its tip towards the girl's throat. Thought my days of killing defenseless children were over. But just this once. I slowly pulled my katana to the side, preparing to cut down the girl before me with a single strike. What is this? It is Wander No More, an indie kinetic novel. Good vibe so far, yeah?
Yeah.
With a simple flick of the wrist, I would behead her, granting instant death to a girl who deserved no further pain. If that is your wish, Chio, then I
don't want to die.
She knew she was just having trouble getting the answer out.
She was frozen a moment ago.
A second before I could swing my blade, Chio shouted out, finally completing her answer. Immobilized by fear, her words reached my ears in fragments, giving the illusion that the girl wished for death. But with strong conviction and an unmistakable will to live, Chio's true desire reached my ears at last, and the blade in my hand lost all of its power. What an impressive girl. Even with her entire life going up in flames, she still hasn't lost her will to live. Regardless, she's still just a young girl, and a child with one hand cannot hope to survive out here on her own. If she's going to have any shot at survival, then... All right, Chio. I understand. If you truly wish to live, then as the one responsible for all of this, it is my duty to make sure that happens. I sheathed my blade and reached out my hand towards the shivering girl. My name is Koichiro Nabatame. I am a traitor on the run from my kingdom. You click the notification, saw it was finished a minute before you enter. Finished. We've been having a lot of technical difficulties, so Rabbi Ribi is just not happening today. And then, beyond all belief, this game will end in 205 clicks. Ended in 205 clicks. So here we are. And from this day onward, Chio, you are my daughter. 1 year later.
Well,
Hotsu Village, home of the merciful Nabatame family. In the year that passed since its destruction, Hotsu Village has slowly been restored. All by ourselves, Chio and I have worked tirelessly to bring life back to this village. And although we are still a long way from finished, our efforts have not been in vain. The houses I was able to save from the fire have been undergoing steady repairs, mostly at the hands of yours truly, to the point where many of the buildings are habitable once more. Chio, unable to assist with the manual labor, familiarized herself with the neighboring forest and took on the role of a gatherer, amassing fruits and berries for the two of us to eat. She also showed me where her family used to go for water, a river within the forest, in which the two of us now bathe. Like so, we were able to secure the bare essentials: food, water, and shelter. We developed a routine, divided our duties, and eventually learned to trust one another with our lives. Just like a real family.
Oh my, if it isn't Chio-chan. Are you done gathering wood already?
As I wandered through the village, the mention of a familiar name caught my attention.
Almost. Just one more basket, and I'll be done. You really are a good girl. Koichiro-sama doesn't know how lucky he is to have such a wonderful young girl by his side.
Following Chio's voice, I turned around the corner to find her conversing with an elderly woman, whose name I had not yet learned.
Ah, speak of the devil. Good morning, Nabatame-sama.
For your disrespect, you are to be executed. Please, be at ease. Just call me Koichiro, like everyone else does. It's a little more Bishonen today.
Bishonen with...
That neck feels a little awkward.
Yeah, that's... What? He's like paper white. He's like a corpse. I don't know.
Just connect this line at the collar to this line where the hair meets.
Yeah.
I don't know if... I don't think I've got a cursor showing.
Yeah, I get it. His head's a little too forward. You know what I mean?
The better to peer around corners.
Understood, Koichiro-sama. So, are you here to check up on Chio-chan? Don't be silly. Coach just looking for work that needs to be done. Oh, is that so? I wouldn't be surprised. Koichiro-sama can't just sit still, can he?
Not until this village has been restored to its former glory. Unless you'd like to take over for me, of course.
Careful what you say. I might take you up on that offer. Of course, you'd have to take over weaving cloth for everyone in my place.
Got it. This is a village of nudists now.
Weaving? That I'd like to see.
I retract my offer. But if you need a loom, I might be able to make you one. There are only minor repairs needed on the houses, so as long as we don't take in any new vagrants, I should have enough spare wood.
Oh, Koichiro-sama, that would be wonderful. You have no idea how much time and effort goes into making a single article of clothing.
No industrial revolution yet.
No. Is it really that difficult? I should be done gathering food soon, so if you need help... No, you don't have to do that, Chio-chan. My hands may be old and weary, but as long as they still serve a purpose, I'll be happy. Besides, there's no way I can gather food like you do. Let's each do our part, okay? Yeah, okay.
On that note, the elderly woman walked away, wearing a troubled smile as she did. Weaving, like so many other tasks undertaken by members of our village, required 2 hands. Knowing this, the woman tried to let Chio down gently, reaffirming her place as a vital gatherer. But for Chio, that was not enough. Even as this town has taken in migrant after migrant, Chio's sense of responsibility hasn't changed in the slightest. From day one, she's tried to do her best in every aspect, taking on tasks we both knew she couldn't possibly complete. And as the one person here who knows Chio better than anyone else, I know all too well what happens to her when her disability prevents Chio from doing her part. You know, Chio, even if traditional weaving requires 2 hands, The same cannot be said for looms. Why am I bringing this up? Can we not just, like, bask in the gentle letdown? Would you like me to make a loom for you as well?
Ko, are you saying that I might possibly be able to leave after all?
I am indeed. Besides, if I'm making one loom, it shouldn't be difficult to make another while I'm at it. What do you say? Do you want to give it a shot?
Absolutely! I definitely want to try it! Kochiro, you're the best!
I'll remember you said that. Now, let's get back to work. I'm just about to start on the wooden bowls you've been asking for, so make sure to bring me back enough to fill them, okay?
Of course, you can count on me.
Full of spirit once more, Chio dashed off with a skip in her step, eager to complete her morning duties. That was a close one. What was that old lady thinking? May not be a rule, but even newcomers should have the sense to not shoot down Chio like that. And of course, the end result is that I now need to make 2 looms, despite the fact that I've never made even one. Execution is too kind for her. I'll prepare the super execution. While I'm making looms, I will also make a guillotine.
Vampire looking, yeah. They do.
Honestly, it's times like this when I miss living alone with Chio. Even if it was more work, life was simpler back then. I only had to look out for Chio and I, and our duties were divided evenly, making for a straightforward, routine life. It's, according to the transition, it's been 1 year. I'm not sure how used to that life you got. Now this village houses a dozen or so residents, most of whom I don't even know the name of. Worse, half of them are too old or young to be put to work, so jobs can't be divided evenly. Without realizing it, I've become the leader of a budding village of wanderers. A few hours passed by since I spoke to Chio, and true to my promise, I greeted her with a pair of wooden bowls.
Those are really, well, I appreciate the effort.
You needn't say a word. I can see how terrible they are.
Oh, don't be like that. They aren't that bad. They just need a little fixing up, that's all. Preferably by someone else.
You said it. The sooner we get more able-bodied men around here, the better. As much as I enjoyed the solitary lifestyle Chio and I shared, it didn't take long for the two of us to realize we didn't possess the skills necessary to rebuild a village. For obvious reasons, I took on the manual labor, but that didn't change the fact that I lacked any knowledge of woodwork whatsoever. Similarly, Chio didn't know how to sew or cook, and many of the things she did know how to do proved too difficult with one hand.
Uh-oh.
You're a little late.
Kinda
A
loud.
year.
Yeah.
And there go the vehicles. We gradually limped along, of course, making concessions along the way. I fumbled my way through basic repairs, and Chio learned how to work around her disability. But even then, we were still amateurs. My shoddy repairs would not last forever, and Chio would often run into tasks she couldn't complete, no matter how hard she tried.
Cheer up. I know you didn't mean it.
Reverse.
Oh, cheer up. You know I didn't mean it. You're doing your best, just like everyone else here. And that's all anyone can ask of you.
Thank you, Chio. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. Now let's dig in while the fruit is still fresh.
Despite her complaints, Chio filled both bowls with a mixture of berries and fruit from the forest. She then placed a bowl on either side of the table and sat down, gesturing for me to do the same. Fruit and berries yet again. It's been months since I last ate meat. And that minor luxury was only because Chio found a wounded rabbit while she was gathering food. Forget laborers. What this village really needs is a hunter. While secretly pining for the taste of flesh, I unconsciously began to drool.
Hey, glad you...
Sorry.
Hey, glad you were looking forward to this, but if you're that hungry, just dig in.
Following Chio's line of sight, I hastily wiped my mouth and started eating. In reality, eating fruit and berries every day wasn't so bad. There was some variety based on how far into the forest Chio went, and the taste was quite sweet. Furthermore, after working hard all morning, the watery taste was rather refreshing, and even after eating a bowlful, I didn't feel bloated. Nice work, Chio. These taste great.
I was hoping you'd like them. I went deep into the forest for this batch, especially for you.
For me?
That's right. You've been working non-stop lately, so I thought you deserved a little reward.
If you know how hard I've been working, tell those other slackers to get to work. Even children can pick berries, right? And if they took over gathering food, you'd be able to help me out more often.
Ko, don't be like that. Children can't discern between edible berries and poisonous ones. And none of them know the layout of the forest like I do.
Both could be fixed in time, but yeah.
Yeah.
We're kind of short-handed right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they could gather everything and then just put it in a basket and have an adult go over it. You know what I mean?
Assuming the poison's not going to contaminate anything.
Yeah. Just leave the food gathering to me, and if you need a break, take one.
Having said her piece, Chio herself began to eat the platter she had prepared. She joyfully consumed mouthful after mouthful, not at all tired of the familiar taste. But rather than join her, I continued to watch Chio, deriving a strange sense of pleasure from watching her elation. It's hard to believe that even now, after living together for a full year, I'm still learning from Chio. Rather than worrying about the division of labor or fretting over the food I eat, I should be content with what I have. After all, if a girl like Chio, whose entire world came crashing down without warning, is still able to smile like that after all she's been through, then maybe one day...
Don't watch me eat. You need to keep your energy up too, you know. I'm sorry, it's just the same as ever, but you still need to eat.
Noticing that I wasn't eating, Chio softly reprimanded me in her usual kind-hearted manner. Don't apologize, Chio. You've done nothing wrong. I was just happy to see you enjoying your food so much.
That's no reason to not eat. You're the village leader, not to mention the only able-bodied man here. You get sick, everyone will suffer.
Okay, I get it. I'll eat too. You know, at times like this, you sound more like my wife than my daughter.
What? It's nothing like that. I just don't want you to get sick, that's all. What's wrong with the daughter caring for her father's health?
Calm down, Chio. It was just a joke. Chio took a deep breath and glared at me, somewhat embarrassed by her own reaction.
Well, it was in poor taste.
Still blushing, Chio looked straight down at her bowl and started to eat once more.
Hold on. They're implying that, like, they've eaten the same thing day after day out. Nothing but fruit? Ugh. You must be running to the bathroom a lot.
Different kinds of fruits. Unclear what it is. Loosely Japanese based for context, but not exactly so, as the disclaimer noted, so... Who's to say? Oh, Chio. Don't you understand that it's a father's duty to make his daughter feel awkward? Because even if our age difference makes us more like siblings than a parent and child, at this point you are without a doubt my family.
I guess this is the author's way to say, don't worry, they're within reasonable age gap. It's not weird.
I don't remember if... I don't think anything like that happens, but I don't recall specifically. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's still kind of weird. It's 19 and 15. By best estimates.
Maybe.
And also, we've got a year of a semi-parental role going on.
Yeah.
Araki, put that down. You're just going to hurt yourself. That's a two-person job, even for adults.
Yes, sir, Kochiro-sama.
As I help your brother to keep the frame in place, I want that door fixed before any more bugs make it inside.
Understood, Kochiro-sama.
Watching on with pride and anxiety alike, I instructed my two young pupils as they fixed the front door of their new home. Araki and Azai both made a lot of mistakes, but they listened to me intently and continue to improve every day.
Like this, Kochiro-sama?
Yes, just like that. Be mindful that you don't pierce the sheets. One little hole is all it takes for bugs to get in. Making do with what we had available, my pupils and I removed the bulk of the house's old front door, leaving only the frame. We then replaced the charred wood with sheets, making for a lightweight door only secure enough to keep out insects and other pests. I guess this will have to do, at least for the time being. I would have rationed the wood more carefully if I'd known we'd be taking in another family so soon. If I had that kind of foresight, I wouldn't be here to begin with. All I can do now is schedule another lumber gathering trip into the forest.
How does this look, Kochiro-sama?
Very good, Azai. They'll do for now. You two should go tell your parents the good news and report back to me after lunch.
Yes, sir.
Araki and Azai bowed and ran inside to inform their parents. And that would be my cue to check on my own family. By the time I returned home, Chio was already waiting for me. She sat in front of the living room table, exercising great restraint as she fought her desire to start eating without me.
There you are, Cole. I was beginning to think you were going to work through lunch.
Me? Miss Lunch? Not a chance. I wouldn't risk invoking your anger again by not eating.
Glad to hear it.
I took my place on the other side of the table, directly opposite Chio.
So, how are the repairs with the Kihei family going? Are the boys doing well?
They're enthusiastic enough, but it'll be a while before they're ready to take over for me. Still, it is nice to have some extra hands.
I know what you mean. Kana-chan's been a big help in collecting food and water from the forest.
You two really are getting along, aren't you?
Of course. I waited a long time for a girl my age to come along.
A little over 1 month ago, a new family wandered into our village. Like me, they fled from the Mirai Kingdom, fearing for their lives.
They fled from the world. Oh, no.
The future!
Future Kingdom!
Although they were difficult to accommodate at first, the family of 5 has since proven invaluable, providing much-needed labor which Chio and I were previously doing ourselves. The mother of the family, another elderly woman, has been learning how to weave, and the father has been whittling down spare wood in order to make crude weaponry. More importantly, the two sons, Azai and Araki, 12 and 13 years old, have been helping me with my manual labor. Similarly, their older sister, Kana, quickly became friends with Chio and has been learning the layout of the forest, as well as which plants are edible and which are poisonous. Speaking of Kana, do you feel she knows the forest well by now? I was thinking of sending the boys in there to search for lumber, so it would help if she escorted them while you continued gathering food.
Well, I guess, but... does that mean the two of us won't be taking any more trips to the forest?
You actually want to walk through the forest with me?
I'm so slow. I don't know.
When I first came here, the last thing you wanted was to be alone with me, especially in the forest.
That was a long time ago. Your former allies killed my family and you expected me to just go along with you? Of course I didn't want to go.
Yeah, when you put it like that, I can't really blame you. But I'm happy to hear that your mistrust is in the past. It really is easier to navigate through the forest with your help.
Of course it is. You should know by now how reliable I am. But that still doesn't answer my question.
Right. Our walks through the forest. If you want to go with me that badly, I suppose we could put Kana on food gathering duty and have her brothers help her out.
It's not that I don't want to go with you or anything. I just thought it would be nice.
Chio hung her head and began to nibble on one of the berries in her bowl. This daughter of mine really can't be honest with herself. Even after all this time, she still feels the need to hide her feelings from me. Perhaps 1 year isn't enough time for two people to become family after all. The next day.
Whoa, this place is huge. Do you really come here every day, Nisa? Hey, look, there's a path carved through the bush. Sai, I'll raise you to the big tree over there. You're on. Hey, hold on a minute. Don't go running off on your own. Ah, jeez. Why don't you two ever listen to me?
Shortly after entering the forest, Hazai and Araki ran off. Their older sister Kana soon gave chase, but proved no match for her energetic siblings and could only trail behind. That didn't take long.
You know how those two are. They may listen to you intently, but their sister's another matter altogether.
I guess that's just how children are.
Do you have any siblings, Ko?
Not anymore. Not since the incident.
I know it's a bit late to be asking you, but you're always reluctant to talk about your past, so...
Well, I've changed my stance on that, and I'm now going to go at length about what's happened in my past.
It all started the day I was born.
My mother didn't show up. It's all right. It's just my old work that I don't like to talk about. And no, I don't have any siblings. I did have a couple of childhood friends, and they both had siblings, so I know what it's like.
That must have been nice. As you already know, I was an only child, and there weren't any other kids around my age either.
The as you know trope.
Jeez.
It happens, but it just kind of struck me.
Heavy-handed. Little heavy-handed there. I mean, you didn't find any corpses of my siblings, so you know I was alone. So even if Kana and her family had come along before our village was set alight, I'm sure we still would have wound up becoming friends.
I suppose time heals all wounds. It's just interesting to hear it's spoken of so lightly.
So lightly, it's only been a year, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not a lot. That's not a lot of time. But maybe she's just repressing it. Though, I suppose it's for the best that came afterwards, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. If the Kihei family had fled the Mirai Kingdom before I did, their deaths would now be hanging over my head, just like so many others.
So what were your childhood friends like? Were they good people? Did you remain friends with them when you grew up?
Oh, my friends. It's a bit complicated.
You killed them, didn't you? You had to. Is that so?
So nanoka.
Sonanoka. Let me guess. One of them was a girl and the other one was a boy.
You're right, but it's not what you think. Haru, a while after she found out what Itoa and I had been doing for a living, she took her own life. Damn!
If this village was exposed to sunlight, it would just get cancer from the lack of melanin. It's true. Man, good thing the forest looks rather thick. Awkward. I see. I'm sorry, Ko. I didn't mean to.
I haven't brought it up to now, but I'm also taken back by how long her arm is.
Right?
When it should technically be shorter than most arms.
Like, I mean,
It's like she's got like
elbow is right there. It's on...
They can't see my cursor, but it'd be like right between the narrowest points of the fabric.
But that's not the way her arm is behaving, so yeah. Especially if you look at the other side, her arm is bending below her hip. Yikes! That's it! They're spider people!
Like, it's like she's got a bandaged up, like, boken or katana or something, and she's just kind of like, well, I guess more of like a wakizashi. She's just kind of holding it under there. We'll give some slack here. It is an indie project. Yeah. At first glance, it looks okay, and it's definitely predates AI, so that's not an issue. There are some anatomical issues that, if you've got a trained eye, do come up.
Yeah, that's definitely her hand stub.
Yeah, intended to be it. Mm-hmm. She really wanted to show her backflipping skills on the roof.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's no way you could have known about that.
Yeah, but...
Chio looked up at me with sadness in her eyes. I wasn't sure if she felt sympathy, pity, or a sense of solidarity, given what had happened to her own family. But whichever feeling was behind that look, I couldn't stand seeing Chio again at me like that. Sorry. But whichever feeling was behind that look, I couldn't stand seeing Chio look at me like that again. So, is there a back or a... So right click brings up that. Oh, there. Alright, so again, I don't remember what happens. If we're bringing up Ito like this and they had the same job, then that means Ito is probably still working that job and we're probably going to meet him again. Forget about it, alright? Let's go find some lumber before the kids finish up doing their rounds.
Okay.
Chio and I walked through the forest in relative silence. In the distance, we could hear rummaging, in addition to the occasional gleeful shout or cry of annoyance.
What was it? Nah, you're never gonna catch me, Nichan! Oh, almost! You need to work on your leg strength, Nichan. Hold still, you brats! Can't you ever listen to your sister? I'm trying to teach you something important. Whatever, we're working men now. We'll leave the food gathering to the women.
Right, I gotta go smack some fools.
Right, we fix the house, so you go get the food. That's how society works. You brats. Fine, run through some poison ivy for all I care. Good luck getting out of this forest on your own.
I gotta rescue those idiots after I beat them senseless.
Nejan? Nejan just abandoned us?
I tried to stifle my laughter as Chio and I listened in on the conversation being held between the Kihei siblings. Those three sure do get along well.
You can say that again. I like that every day, yet they always make up in the end.
Indeed. Just like how we used to be. I try to help you or ask you a question and you just brush me off.
Well, excuse me for not trusting a complete stranger. Besides, you are far from perfect yourself. I told you time and time again not to follow me, and whenever you did, you wound up getting lost in the forest.
Hey, I was just looking out for you.
If you say so. At any rate, you seem to have learned your lesson, given that you asked me to be your guide.
Why wouldn't I? Nobody in Hotsu Village knows this forest like you do. So, Elder Spirit of the Forest, where do you think one might find lumber suitable for repairing houses?
Right, this way, you fuddled traveler.
Chio led the way deeper into the forest, taking me to an unfamiliar area. Although I didn't know the forest as well as Chio, I had spent enough time in there to know the area close to town. So if I didn't know where it was a safe bet that we were in pretty deep. I should really make an axe one of these days. Going this far into the forest just to search for fallen trees isn't practical, nor is carrying back wood over such a distance. Given your woodworking skills, you'd have a hard time making an axe. Like, you have to luck out finding a good stone, or a situation that lets you nap that stone, or really luck out and get like a forged axe head somewhere. A wooden axe would be really hard to not only make but use. I don't know, there might be a way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could reuse any swords for axes. Okay, like if you had like a heavy wooden block, and then you wedged in a blade, maybe you get somewhere?
Maybe.
Yeah. The village is in decent shape now, and I have Azai and Araki to help me, so I should have some time to fashion a few more tools. With ample wood lying around from the toils of the former villagers, not to mention the remains of several houses, securing lumber was never a higher priority. With ample wood lying around from the toils of the former villagers, not to mention the remains of several houses, securing lumber was never a high priority. My early days in Hotsu were spent utilizing the resources my predecessors had left behind, and using makeshift tools in place of anything more useful, like a hammer or an axe. But with a growing village, ongoing repairs, and the occasional newcomer, relying on existing resources was no longer an option.
Okay, this ought to do it. What do you think? Did I come through or what?
Chio stopped in front of a fallen tree, which had been pierced by a large rock as it landed. It would still require brute strength to tear off anything worthwhile, and I'd need an axe to take away most of it. It was quite a find nonetheless. You sure did. As expected of my wonderful daughter.
You're never gonna get this the father-daughter thing a rest, are you?
Not until you learn how to pronounce it.
Like I told you from the beginning, we're far too close in age to be parent and child. Nobody in the village believes it anyway. Why are you even bothering saying it?
Chio stared at me with a serious expression on her face, as though tired of the farce. I know it's not believable. That isn't the point. Chio, what do you suppose the other villagers would think if we weren't parent and child?
Exactly what they think of us now, right?
Are you sure about that? A young man and woman, not related by blood, living together, calling one another by their first names without honorifics? Do I really need to spell it out for you?
I still don't get it. You don't use honorifics with anyone, do you? And so what if we live together? We aren't related by blood. That doesn't mean... Oh, wait a minute. You don't mean...
Chio's face was suddenly dyed bright red. Only 1 year away from being of age, Chio could easily pass for a young bride, especially if her husband was a renowned samurai. But after being on our own for so long and spending every day simply trying to survive, such frivolous thoughts never even entered Chio's mind.
You must be joking. Who would marry a worthless samurai like you?
Ouch. If you'll excuse me, I have some harakiri to commit.
Goodbye.
Come now, there's no need to get defensive.
Who's being defensive? I'm just setting the facts straight.
Calm down, Chio. I have no intention of getting married again. Again? He said again.
I know.
Anyway, I hope that answers your question.
I guess. Though it still doesn't explain why we're father and daughter and not siblings.
She's got me there. To be honest, when I first saw Chio in that storeroom, I could only think of her as a little girl. A child who needed protecting, far too young and weak to be my sister. But I was wrong, and now it's too late to change our story. That's because we look so different, you know? When people point out our dissimilar appearances, I can say you take after your mother.
Is that right?
You could also do that with the sibling scenario.
Yeah.
Well, you could spice it up. We're half siblings.
Yeah. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It's too late to change your story now anyway.
Yeah.
Now let's get moving. You get the boys to help you with the lumber, and I'll go look for Kana-chan.
Whatever you say, Chio. 3 days later.
They finally come back.
I didn't think we'd get lost for so long.
I think I've got it. Careful with that. You don't want to lose a finger. Relax, I'm fine. It's just like Papa showed us.
After devoting a few days to stockpiling lumber, Azai, Araki, and I undertook a different task than usual. The village no longer required any urgent repairs, and we had gathered enough lumber to accommodate one more family should they appear. So with the knowledge their father bestowed upon us, our increasing awareness of the forest adjacent to Hotsu village, and more lumber than we needed.
Done! My trap is complete!
Meat!
Yay!
We began to make crude wooden traps. Well done, Azai. Now place the bait in the trap and move on to the next one.
Yes, sir, Kurichiro-sama!
While the girls had been doing well in their role of providing berries and fruit for the village, the lack of variety was disheartening. Only once had I tasted flesh since coming to Hotsu, and every day I craved the taste of cooked meat more and more.
You are a vampire.
I'm looking for cooked meat, not raw. Awful. So with a wannabe weaponsmith drearily biding his time, and his 2 sons both eager to eat meat again, I brought the 3 together for a new venture. Using string and sharpened wooden spikes, we fashioned basic traps triggered by pressure. By placing a few berries and leaves in the center of the trap, we would lure unsuspecting rabbits into the stream, at which point a wooden spike would be pulled forward and stab the rabbit from above.
Koichiro-sama, I think I made mine a little too big.
That's an understatement. That trap is far too big for catching rabbits. We're eating bear. But you might as well set it up anyway. Who knows? You might even catch a bear.
A bear? Are there really bears around here, Koichiro-sama? Of course not. There's nothing that dangerous around here.
Oh, Chio. I didn't expect to see you here. Done already?
Not yet. I just thought I'd see how you boys were going. But from the look of it, you three still have a lot more work to do.
How harsh. We only just started, you know.
Maybe further along if Araki followed Papa's instructions. Hey, it's not my fault. Can't explain anything properly. His explanation was fine. It's your brain that needs fixing.
Say.
Come here!
Like usual, Azai and Araki began brawling without hesitation. Though typically playful, the 2 often fought, and all it took was one sly comment from either brother before their fists began flying. Maybe I should teach those 2 how to wield a sword. Nope, bad idea at this stage. Don't do it. Only do it if you want one apprentice. Start up a Sith school.
Yep.
Might do some good to learn discipline and to vent their frustration productively.
That didn't take much. Boys really are violent thugs, aren't they?
If you want someone to agree with you, Chio, you should really be saying that to Kana. Besides, there's no harm in a little roughhousing.
Even when they're this close to the traps they just made?
Boys, stop that this instant! Azai and Araki both stopped at my command. They slowly walked back over, paying little attention to the 2 traps they had just set.
Sorry, Koichiro-sama. Yeah, we're sorry.
Look, if you two want to play, that's fine, but do it away from the traps you just set.
Well, you're right. Understood, Koichiro-sama. It must have been like a pit trap or something.
There's an interpretation of this where, hey, you're right, and I'm relaying your advice, and there's something to be said about gender roles in that, but getting the vibe that he maybe just like stole her thunder.
I'm going back to gathering food. You three have fun.
Without another word, Chio walked straight past us, deeper into the forest. Something tells me I'll be hearing more about that during lunch. Oh well. Chio's message was conveyed, and that's what matters. All right, you two. Back to work. And make sure to keep track of every trap you've set. Chio, your sister, and I all need to know exactly what to look out for. Got it?
Understood. Yes, sir, Koichiro-sama.
4 days later. In the days following our first attempt at making traps, my pupils and I were quick to reap the rewards of our efforts. On the first night, we managed to capture 6 rabbits and 1 fox, all of which we skinned and consumed that very night. Although we didn't get to eat much, considering how many villagers and the meat was shared between, the familiar taste was almost enough to bring me to tears. In light of our success, that day we set up the same traps once again and crafted several more. With the taste of meat still fresh in our minds, Azai, Araki, and I all did our part, setting up literally dozens of traps, limited only by the amount of string at our disposal. Nonetheless, our efforts were rewarded once again. We captured more rabbits than last time, enough to divide up evenly between every member of our small We captured more rabbits than last time, enough to divide up evenly between each member of our small village. This pattern repeated once more, and if all goes well, we'll repeat yet again today.
Okay, 1 more bowl of nutritious goodies as requested.
Well, I dreamed of another day's harvest. Chio placed my breakfast on the table. On either side, I found a bowl of fruit and berries, the same as ever. Why is that rabbit food on the table? We should still have some meat left over from last night, shouldn't we?
Ko, you know you can't eat meat every meal of the day. And you can't skip meals either. You want your breakfast, I'm not cooking what you catch today.
Hey now, let's not go crazy here. I'm eating, alright? Just watch me. Without hesitation, I crammed my mouth full of miscellaneous fruits and berries. Chio didn't seem terribly impressed, but she didn't lash out either, so I presumed that I was in the clear.
Fine, as long as you eat what I prepare for you. But speaking of meat, have you thought about doing some fishing?
Fish is meat?
I followed the river a bit further upstream yesterday, and it looks like it leads to an underground spring. There were koi swimming around, can you believe that? I always thought it was strange for trees to flourish in the middle of nowhere like this, but if the spring leads to the ocean, then maybe... Koichiro-sama! Koichiro-sama, are you there?
Mid-sentence, Chio's attention turned to the door, where she found her new friend shouting as loud as she could.
Kana-chan?
I'm here. What's wrong?
Koichiro-sama, you're a samurai, right? Please, bring your sword and follow me!
Without asking any questions, I grabbed my katana, essentially unused since I came to Hotsu, and followed Kana. She led me a short distance into the forest, near where her brothers and I first began laying traps. Kana looked around anxiously, on guard as she turned her head back and forth, searching for the danger she hadn't yet warned me about.
Not a single word of what it was?
Even without Kana saying anything, I can guess why I'm here. The large trap Araki made is gone. There's a lot of blood where it once sat. Far more blood than I'd expect from a rabbit or a fox. Going by the bloody footprints, my guess is that someone stepped in the trap.
Oh.
The only question is, was it one of the boys, or...
Ah, there he is! Whoa.
A short walk away from where the trap had been set, a wounded samurai sat on the ground, nursing his leg. I could clearly see a large puncture wound where the trap had pierced him.
Uh-oh.
And going by the dried blood surrounding the wound, I surmised that he had walked into the trap during the night. Well, well. What have we here? I removed my katana from its sheath and placed the blade against the fallen samurai's throat. Surprisingly, he didn't put up any resistance or draw his own weapon. Instead, the seated man stared at me in shock, as though he had seen a ghost. Captain Navatame? Sir, is that really you? Although I didn't recognize the man before me, he seemed to know exactly who I was. Unfortunately, the dominant expression on his face was surprise, not fear or joy, so I couldn't be certain if he was once an ally or an enemy. Yeah, as cruel as that might be, I think the answer to either of those questions is decapitation. Because from what we know of the group he used to belong, they're not going to be happy to know that... Well, they will be happy to know they found him after he escaped. I may not be the captain of the Kotokushi anymore, but I am indeed Koichiro Nabatame. State your name and your business. Oh, yes, sir. My apologies. My name is Reizei Sadayori, and I am here on official business from the Mirai Kingdom. Nabatame-sama. There. I'm a shark. Ah. Nabatame-sama, we received a report from a foreign trader that there was an undocumented village here next to a forest full of life. I was sent to verify the claims and... Slow down. What do you mean by we, exactly? Who sent you? Well, it was indirect, but I suppose you could say it was the Kotokushi, sir. The Kotokushi. They must have pawned off the job when they realized it was a village they already burned down last year. No point scouting a village they already decimated, after all. Sir, I don't mean to speak out of turn, but my leg... All right, I understand. I sheathed my sword and approached Reizei. I will help you, but you have to do something for me, too. Yes, of course, sir. It would be an honor. I'm glad you feel that way. First, you're going to hand me your katana and wakizashi. I can't have you wandering around here while you're carrying weapons. Second, you're going to report to the Kotokushi that you found a burned-down, uninhabited village next to the forest, and that the forest itself contains nothing of value. Do you understand? Yes, sir. I understand. Okay, I believe you. Kana and I walked away from the samurai, taking his weapons with us. Once we were out of earshot, Kana looked back at Reizei, then faced me with a complicated expression on her face. What is it, Kana?
No, it's nothing important. I just...
Kana tightly hugged the two sheathed blades. Great, now I've got two one-armed girls.
Crap. Are we really gonna help him?
Why wouldn't we? You heard him. The man is a scout. He isn't here to harm us.
I know that, but...
Kana talking sense.
I know.
Like, me personally, I'm with Cole here. I would not want to just, kill him out of turn, but... I don't live in a story that I know of, so...
And I've read enough history and stuff like that to know that, yeah, they'll be beholden to their master as opposed to whatever kindness or loyalty these guys are.
If you're not killing him, he's not leaving. That's
Yeah.
basically how it comes down.
Yeah. There you two are.
While Kana fumbled to find the right words, Chio finally caught up to us.
Jeez, Kana, you really surprised me there.
I'm also kind of surprised that we're getting these reactions from Koichiro, because he's supposed to be from that hardened group. He should know better.
You should know better.
Maybe that's why he was a poor fit.
I knew Ko was fast. I knew Ko was fast, but I never expected that kind of agility from you.
I beg your pardon, daughter. I only eat what you prepare for me.
I guess it's because I'm always chasing after my little brothers.
Kana forced herself to laugh for Chio's benefit, but her worry overshadowed any false joy.
Kana, what's going on? Why did you need Ko? And...
Chio's gaze drifted down to the two sheathed blades cradled in Kana's arms. I'll explain later. Kana, get a bucket and fill it with water. Chio, grab enough cloth to bind a person's leg many times over. Make it quick and meet me back here when you're done. Without argument, Kana and Chio did what I asked of them. They then handed over the supplies I needed and hung back as I approached Reise once more. I used the water to clean his leg, washing out splinters from the puncture wound as I removed any obstructions I found. I then bound his leg with the cloth Chio gave me in order to stop the bleeding, and finally sent Reise off after reminding him of our deal. I'm not going to spend any time with him to win him over. Okay.
Is it really alright to just let him go like that?
No, but I'm a bit of an imp like that, you see.
Yeah. Kana-chan told me about your deal, but even so, how do you know he'll honor it?
With Reise no longer in sight, Kana picked up the bucket and remaining cloth, then headed back to the village. Chio, however, was not convinced by what she had heard and seen, and showed no sign of returning just yet. The simple answer is, I don't. Reise might tell the Kotokushi the truth the second he returns, sparking a manhunt akin to my escape from last year.
If you know that, then how could you let him go? You're supposed to be this village's leader. How could you knowingly endanger everyone like that?
Chio shouted at me angrily, obviously not approving of my actions. It's the opposite of Dumbledore said calmly.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I'm sorry, there was no exclamation mark and her sprite didn't give me any indication she was yelling. Other than scolding.
Yeah, open mouth. I can scroll back if you want to try another take.
It's okay.
Okay. And I couldn't blame her. To Chio, a young girl cut off from greater society, my actions may indeed have seemed like those of a traitor. Even so, my actions were not without reason. Chio, that's a fair point. If he disappears, then yeah, obviously something's up.
Yeah, and they would try to track him to where he last was.
Alright, Koichiro, you're smarter than me.
Damn it.
Chio, what do you think would happen if I killed Reise?
Well, what do I think?
Yes. If I killed that scout, what difference do you think it would have made?
Isn't it obvious? The samurai wouldn't be able to report that he found you, or our village. He'd be safe.
I shook my head at Chio's naive conclusion. Chio, when a scout goes missing, they aren't simply forgotten. If you sent Kana into the forest and she never came back, where's the first place you would look for her?
In the forest?
Exactly. That isn't to say that you were wrong, Chio. Reise may indeed tell the Kotokushi where I am. But this way, there's still a chance that he'll honor our deal. And that's far better than guaranteed destruction at the hands of his comrades.
I see. So, even if the odds aren't in our favor, at least this way there's still a glimmer of hope.
But also try packing up and...
Yeah, you might want to come up with a contingency plan now.
Well, it's not going to be a contingency plan with the amount of time they have. They've got to, like, go tonight if they want to.
Yeah, like, everybody get your shit and leave.
And there's, like, no guarantee they'll find another village to sort of set up or settle into.
You might have to, like, pick up your belongings and hang low somewhere and see if somebody comes, and then go back if it looks like nobody's coming. But there's not many of you either.
Yeah, there's not really a workforce you can spare to scout. It's like you gotta send Koichiro or maybe Chio to do it.
Yeah. So you would need a place to hide, have enough rations to survive for a bit, and then return to the village if it's left alone long enough. Ugh.
Not a great position.
Not great. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Correct. But there's more to it than that. I know it may not seem like much considering what's on the line, but even so, life is precious, Chio. And preserving life is something you should never feel bad about.
Mm.
1 week later. In the week that followed Reise's appearance, Hotsu village underwent many changes. First and foremost, all repairs were put on hold, as were any plans to create new rabbit traps. That's another thing. If they investigate his wound, then they're going to know he got hurt by something man-made.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard explaining that one.
Yeah.
All new traps were closer in size to Araki's trap, the one that nailed Reise, and we branched out into other traps not suitable for hunting small animals. Ah, okay. We experimented with pitfalls, using string as tripwire near beds of rock, and even trimmed back some of the bushes and trees to make several areas of the forest look almost identical. After that, I began coordinating evacuation exercises, in which Kana would lead the other villages to the underground spring that Chio found. The children would help the elderly to escape quickly, and we soon marked out an appropriate route to the spring. While the villagers were fleeing, Chio and I would climb up our lumber stockpile onto the roof of a house near the edge of town. From there, we could see anyone approaching from many miles away, allowing us to take the best course of action so as not to be seen. Suddenly in the American West. Although we kept watch every day, I had already informed Chio and the others of how long it would take before we needed to keep our eyes peeled. By horse, we were only a day or two away from Mirai. By foot, a direct route would easily take 1 week at the bare minimum. So given that Reise had left on foot, and the Kotokushi would travel by horse, we still had another few days before the worst-case scenario could play out. Even if Reise immediately informed the Kotokushi, and they mobilized that very instant, we could still afford to skip watchman duty for the time being.
Still nothing. I know I should be relieved by the lack of action, but no matter how much time we spent up here, I can't help but feel anxious.
Chio held herself with her good arm, making no attempt to hide her feelings. That is nothing to be ashamed of. Anxiety keeps you alert. For someone who is potentially being hunted, it could mean the difference between life and death.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Was it like this for you when you were working for them? I know you don't like to talk about it, but right now we're...
I know. At this moment, I don't have the freedom to keep secret any information pertaining to the Kotokushi. Truthfully, I can't say I ever felt that kind of anxiety. Rather, I was excited by the thought that a strong opponent might seek me out. The only part of my job that made me feel like you do now was preparing for situations just like this. As much as I tried to mask my own feelings, Hotsu Village's current situation was one I was already familiar with. Belonging to the Kotokushi, I was among those who sought to destroy villages like this, storming in and killing without hesitation. So although my situation had been reversed, I knew all too well how the assault would take place, and experience was not needed to predict the outcome. Wrecking villages, slaying innocent people, torching corpses. Whenever we came across a village like this, I feared the worst, praying that my assignment wouldn't end in such a manner. But no matter how much I wished for a peaceful resolution, my fears always proved to be justified. Even if we didn't slaughter the entire village, our presence still ruined the lives of those we found. We took in slaves, stole horses, depleted the villagers' food supplies. As soon as we stepped outside of Mirai, we became villains. Like in the medieval sense, or... Chio watched me silently as I told her about my past. Although we had been together for well over a year, I had never told Chio about the things I'd done, or explained how I was as bad as the people hunting me. Unfortunately, as the Kotokushi threatened to make a second appearance in Hotsu village, I had little choice. Even if Chio hates me for the things I've done, our survival is my top priority. Forgetting my past is a luxury I cannot afford anymore. What's important is that I convey my knowledge of how they operate. As a former captain of the Kotokushi, I know their tactics well. If anyone has a chance of fending them off, it's me. We would usually strike at our whim, but if we had reason to believe that the village contained combatants, our strategy differed. First, we would send a scout, unarmed, into the village. They would pretend to be a traveler or merchant and gather information for us. Next, we'd use that information to enter the village discreetly, avoiding any watched areas of the village, usually at daybreak. Finally, we'd start by setting alight the houses of the strongest members of the village, then proceed to slaughter everyone indiscriminately.
Ugh.
Even as I finally finished, Chio did not say a word. She looked at me with a worried expression on her face, as though torn between anxiety and fear. That's where magic comes from. Chio did not approach me either, nor did she show any sign of speaking her thoughts. I should have known this would happen. It's one thing to call yourself a samurai, but it's another to listen to a tale of government-sanctioned evil. I can only imagine what Chio must think of me now. As the man responsible for her parents' deaths, for destroying her life, my only redeeming feature was that I was the lesser of two evils. Now that Chio knows the truth.
I see. So that's why you don't like to talk about your job.
Chio finally opened her mouth, barely managing to squeeze out those two sentences. But even as she spoke, her expression did not change. Whatever chord I had struck with Chio, she did not know how to react, and for my part, I wasn't sure where to go from there. Yes, that was my old life. Please, whatever you think of me right now, keep it to yourself until the time of desperation has passed. If we are to be attacked...
Yeah, I understand. I'll tell the others about the Kotokushi's tactics, but the rest, I'll leave out.
Without another word, Chio climbed down from the roof, jumping onto the same pile of lumber we used to climb up. She hung her head as she walked, not once looking back at me or showing the slightest glimpse of her usual self. As I feared, the truth completely shattered the image she had of me, which I worked long and hard to cultivate. A full year of bonding gone, just like that. Once the Kotokushi have come and gone, assuming they do come, this life Chio and I had been leading together may finally be over. Chio will oust me, and I will be forced to move on, leaving this village in the hands of those left behind. That might not be so bad, as I and Araki can take over most of my duties, and there are no dangers in this village which call for a samurai's strength. I'll be sad to go, of course, but from the beginning, I only stayed here in order to look after Chio. Now that she has Kana and the others, Chio may be better off without me. 3 days later. In the wake of my confession to Chio, further changes took place in Hotsu village. Starting with Chio, the villagers all began to act more depressed than I'd anticipated, including the ever-energetic Azai and Araki. In turn, this lethargy slowed productivity down to a halt. Our meals were all smaller, no new traps were made, and torn clothing went without repair. We all simply wandered around the village aimlessly, like starving chickens waiting to be beheaded. Even as the villagers gave in to despair, I remained vigilant, keeping watch at all hours of the day. I headed out of the village in the direction of Mirai, practicing my swordsmanship as I waited for an enemy that may never come. Looking over the horizon, I almost wished that the Korokushi would show up, so we could finally end our struggle. As I swung my blade at thin air, reliving my days as Captain Nabatame, the only thing that came to me was reminiscence.
Here.
Before I could leave the house to start my training for the day, Chio placed a wooden bowl full of fruit in front of me. Despite our damaged relationship, Chio still insisted that I eat whatever she prepared, and she refused to let me go hungry. Thank you, Chio. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No sooner had she offered me breakfast than Chio retreated into the next room. Although she resolved to continue her role as a forager, Chio was otherwise just as depressed as everyone else, if not more so.
Did they eat anything else other than fruit? It doesn't last all year long. Maybe roots? I'm just saying.
Clearly they've made it through one winter somehow. Well, okay, they did have some storeroom of rations beforehand from Chio's families, so possibly those survived and could be pushed a bit. Gotta learn farming at some point.
Well, I mean, if they're a forager, there is actually a practice in Japan for foraging, and it's not just fruits. It's various plants, roots, shoots, bulbs. And I just find it funny that the writer just says they only find fruit and berries. So like these guys will be very stinky.
It's an alternative world where fruits and berries grow all year round.
All year round, and they provide everything you need.
And they make you smell of flowers.
No indigestion whatsoever.
And they cure cancer.
Oh.
She spoke to me very little, ate almost nothing herself, and had barely slept at all. Chio was in a downward spiral, and the only thing I could do was wait for fate to take its course. Upon arriving at the edge of the village facing Mirai, I had expected to indulge in solitude. I had been training alone until this point, and nobody dared to go near me when I unsheathed my sword. On this day, however, that pattern was broken.
Good morning, Koichiro-sama. Koichiro-sama, here you are.
Waiting patiently near my usual training spot were Azai and Araki, both of whom were wearing serious expressions. I hadn't expected either boy to be awake so early. Since they arrived, both boys had consistently woken up later than even the elderly villagers. Either my good habits were finally rubbing off, or something was wrong. Good morning, boys. You're up early. What brings you out here? Araki looked down at the ground and swayed from side to side, unwilling or unable to convey the reason behind his appearance.
Koichiro-sama, Anzai and I...
Azai
and I... Koichiro-sama, please train us.
Train you. In contrast to his brother's reservation, Azai immediately blurted out their mutual desire.
Please, Koichiro-sama.
Maybe in a few weeks, because you make yourselves combatants, you're going to die soon.
Yep. Right! Please train us!
Okay, well... I'm thinking on it more, like, anyone in the village is likely to be up for death. They could be like a last stand in the hiding spot, but these two boys also seem fairly reckless, so they might get ahead of that. Worst case scenario, they lead them to it. You two want me to train you?
Yes! Please teach us how to use a sword! You still have those two blades you took from that other samurai, right? Please let us wield them. Yeah! We want to help protect the village! Please help us protect our family!
Faced with the honest, selfless pleas of two young boys, I sighed in exasperation and shook my head. Boys, I'm glad that you want to help, but the Kotokushi could be here any day now. Those men have trained for years, some even decades. Learning basic sword skills won't help you.
But, Koichiro-sama...
No buts. If you try to fight those men, you're going to get yourselves killed. Do you understand that? They will not take pity on you because you're children. They will slaughter you with ease and without hesitation. I understand that you want to protect your family, but you can't do that if you're dead. If you truly wish to protect your family, then go with them. Stay by their sides and see to it that they escape with their lives.
Understood, Koichiro-sama.
Azai and Araki slowly walked away, fighting back tears as they did. Once they had put a few meters between us, the two boys started to run straight towards their house. Neither one of them turned back to face me, nor did they say another word as they ran. My tone may have been a little harsh, but those boys needed to hear it. Childish dreams of heroism die the minute you enter battle. If those two fight, they will without a doubt be killed. So if making those boys resent me is what it takes to keep them alive, it's a price I'm willing to pay. Unfortunately, that seems to be a common pattern recently. Chio hasn't looked at me the same since I told her about my old job, and the friendliness I once received from the other villagers is now gone. Azai and Araki were most likely the only two left on my side, and now... I wandered past the edge of the village, into the barren lands before me. Unsheathing my blade, I exhaled deeply, readying myself for another day of training in solitude. With my blade held firmly in my right hand, I wandered away from the village as far as I could go without losing sight of my new home. A week or so of training may not make up for a year of peasant life, but it does remind me of the man I once was. Before I became a killer, I was a devoted swordsman. I trained myself every day and took every opportunity to improve myself. I fought strong opponents, many of whom were twice my age and far more experienced, yet I never lost. My endless training and natural talent propelled me forward, making it possible for me to become the best of the best. For all of those who praised and revered my skill, just as many people resented me. Every time I defeated a seasoned swordsman while sparring, I would gain another fan and a dozen enemies. Ordinarily, people feared me, and other samurai treated me with hostility, all because I surpassed them so easily. But what struck them the most was my modesty. I dared to rise up higher than they could ever reach, and for that, I was hated. Through the tough times, only two people stayed by my side. My childhood friends, Haru and Ito. Like the two sides of my conscience, Haru and Ito always spurred me on in conflicting ways, both with my best interest at heart. My dear Haru always wanted me to give up on joining the Kotokushi. She practically begged me to give up on swordsmanship and to live a normal life. Ito, on the other hand, considered us to be rivals. He foresaw the two of us joining the Kotokushi together, rising the ranks and forever competing as we fought side by side. But now that life is over, and I failed to make either one of their dreams come true. I could not give Haru the happy life she so deserved, nor will I ever again fight by Ito's side. All I have left now is this village, and the people within it. My daughter, Chio. My two pupils, Araki and Azai, their sister, Chio's good friend Kana, the kind-hearted families who fled from Mirai. Before I realized it, I was swinging my sword angrily, cutting away at the air before me while deep in thought. I thrust my blade forward, then turned around and slashed at the invisible enemy behind me. As though dancing, I swiftly moved in a chaotic yet rhythmic pattern, playing out a scene of carnage from my past. I disemboweled and beheaded soldier after soldier, painting the walls red with their blood. Whether they love me or hate me, I will protect every person in this village. I am the village leader, and I will see this fight through to the bitter end. The Kodokushi will come. If not because of that scout, then for the sake of exploration, or just expand the kingdom. And when they do, I'll be ready. After many hours of tireless training, I returned home to eat lunch with Chiyo. I had worked up both a sweat and an appetite thanks to the hot rays of the sun beaming down on me, so a bowl full... So one, I think this is supposed to be bowl, but is that W different than usual? I think it is. It's larger, so I don't think it's just bold. Bold. Where was I? I had worked up both a sweat and an appetite, thanks to the hot rays of the sun beaming down on me, so a bowl full of juicy fruit sounded more tantalizing than ever. Upon walking through the door, however, I immediately realized that my exertion wouldn't be rewarded so easily.
About time you got back, Ko. You reek of sweat.
Waiting with a stern look on her face, Chiyo addressed me the moment I walked inside. Yes, it is rather hot out there. It's easy enough to work up a sweat even without moving, let alone while swinging a blade around.
Is that right?
Chiyo stared at me dubiously, as though my reply didn't matter in the slightest. Did something happen, Chiyo? Or is this still about what I told you the other day?
Don't jump to conclusions. Not everything is about you, Ko.
That's why I opened up with the other alternative.
Maybe you should think less about yourself and more about those around you.
I would argue I've been thinking excessively of those around me. With obvious hostility in her voice, Chiyo failed to answer my question. Unfortunately, with no idea why she was angry, I could only act like my usual self. Others around me. Are you talking about yourself? I've been giving you space because I thought that was what you wanted. If not, all you had to do was...
I'm talking about Kana's little brothers. I don't know what you said to them, but those boys have been depressed and crying all morning. Now Kana's angry at me because of something you said. Just what did you say to those boys exactly? What did you do to screw up their lives?
The second I tried to make a joke, Chiyo lashed out, completely unwilling to play along. I could see fury in her eyes, unlike anything I'd seen since we first met, back when her parents' corpses were still fresh, and we were mere strangers. Hey, calm down. There's no need to get upset. The boys wanted me to show them how to use a sword, and I refused. That's all. Perhaps I could have been nicer about it, but I still feel that my decision was warranted.
Warranted or not, you've just made the entire Kihei family hate you. You need to apologize to those boys right now.
You want me to apologize? I told those boys not to throw their lives away. How is that something to apologize for?
I don't care who's in the wrong. Just apologize to them. That is not good. You're the adult here, so act like one. Tell those boys that you're sorry, so we can all be friends again. This is so wrong.
You can apologize for the tone, but I don't disagree with your logic, and you can stand firm on that point. And you can explain why to the rest of the family who might be a little more receptive to it.
Yeah, like explain in, like, 'cause she literally says she doesn't know what he said. It's kind of important. Explaining it to the whole family. It's like, yeah. Like, no, I didn't want those boys throwing their lives away, and I wanted to be harsh so that they'd understand the severity. But, ugh.
I'm not sure how consciously he wanted to be harsh. Like, he even seemed to regret after the initial thing that he came off a little worse than he wanted. But, like, emotions are running high. He's got his past catching up with him. Everyone's tense. Yeah, not great. Faced with Chiyo's accusations and demands, I could feel my calm disposition slipping away. The stress of preparing Hotsu village for an imminent bloodbath was weighing on me. not to mention the cold treatment I've been receiving from the villagers. Ever since Reize showed up, life in the village had become unbearable. Friends? Don't make me laugh. Not one person in this village considers me a friend. You all call out Koichiro-sama, Koichiro-sama when you need something, yet the second real conflict arrives, nobody wants anything to do with me. Well, that's fine by me. I don't need to be loved or even liked. I will continue to do what I think is right.
Are you even listening to yourself? Just how self-centered can you be?
Very, apparently.
Apparently. This isn't about you. It's about doing what's best for everyone. We should be preparing for the worst right now. Instead, everyone's too busy getting mad about nothing. So swallow your pride, apologize, and do your duty as the village leader.
That's exactly what I was doing. What kind of village leader would tell children to join the front lines or give them weapons? I was protecting you all, just as I always have.
Damn it, Ko. At some point, you need to realize that sheltering people isn't the same as protecting them. You should be telling the boys what they can do to help, not just shooting them down.
I sighed angrily at Chio's response. This is hopeless. All we're doing is going around in circles. Chio has no idea what was said. She's just unconditionally taking her friend's side. Is this what it's like to be a father? Or is it merely the misfortune of being a leader? Chio, please stop acting like you know everything. I did tell those boys how they could help. I told them to stay with their family and to escape together. Tell me, how is that wrong?
That's not wrong, but...
But nothing. I have not erred here, and I will not stand beside children and watch them get slaughtered. Chio, I appreciate that you want everyone to get along, but it's not always that simple. Sometimes people simply cannot see eye to eye, no matter what. I turned those boys down, knowing that they might hate me for doing so. But if that's what it takes to keep them alive, then I regret nothing.
Still can't agree with you deciding everything for them. Even if they lose their lives doing so, those boys have a right to decide if they want to fight or not. How? Wait, they're 12 and 13, right?
That's what I recall.
Yeah.
Generally, no. It's kind of different in that, ancient times, and so children were conscripted. I don't say that's right, just that it was more common.
And I mean, they may not be trained as samurai, but they did start learning that young on how to like defend themselves and self-defense and stuff like that.
And besides Ko, they're also the only able-bodied people. Well,
so
we've got 2 young girls, a bunch of elderly people, and we've got the 2 boys. 2 boys not having even entered puberty are not going to tip the scales that much.
Yeah.
Maybe a year or so down the road, things start changing, but they've got the imminent problem.
Yeah. At the very least, like he could teach them.
And in
a
that
little
sense,
bit
sorry, go on.
at the very least, you could teach them self-defense. You know, you don't have to teach them to kill somebody, but you can teach them how to dodge, fight back, use their hands, grapple, you know, find a way to defend themselves on their way of escaping, essentially, you know?
The only reason you would not do that... Okay, there's 2 reasons I can see of to not do that. One is if it took away from your own practice time, which you value above that. 2 would be is if you judge them to be so reckless that they would not take to heart the lessons, at least in the time you have to drill them into them, and they'll just run off and attack anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we'll totally learn this in self-defense. Oh, stabby.
Yeah.
The ultimate defense is a perfect offense.
Yeah. It's all about the kind of psychology behind it.
Oh, we seem to be waffling a little bit. Like, they both have some points and they have some foibles to them. It's an interesting conversation they're having.
Yeah.
Props for that. Now you're just trying to best me. You don't believe a word you just said, do you?
I do so.
No, you don't. You realize that you were in the wrong, and now you're trying to cover up your mistake. You should realize by now that Father knows best.
You're wrong. It's not like that. I was just sticking up for the boys, that's all.
It's okay, Chio. A little presumptuous of you.
Oh boy.
I accept your apology. Though if you really want to apologize, know that the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I laughed at Chio's attempt to maintain her dignity, then offered her a way out. I didn't want to argue any more than she did, and if giving Chio another task would help keep her distracted a while, then both sides would benefit.
So that's what you were after. Fine. If preparing your lunch is what it takes to put this conversation behind us, then I'm ready whenever you are.
Prepare for fruit.
Let's go for a little trip into the forest, shall we?
Now that's more... Wait a second. Us?
I'll grab the food. You need a bath. I wasn't kidding about you reeking of sweat, Co.
Okay, but like only line of defense, and the two watch people are going together? No, bad idea.
That's terrible.
It's as bad as stealing 40 cakes. I suppose I have been training since daybreak. Even if I can't smell myself, I'm definitely covered in sweat. Okay, a quick bath, lunch, and then back to training. Today might not be a total waste after all. After Chio grabbed a basket to fill with food, the two of us entered the forest. Despite knowing the path, I followed Chio as she led the way, trailing close behind while silently smiling to myself. In truth, there was no reason for me to be smiling. I was quickly becoming alienated, arguing with my daughter and aware of an imminent threat on the village. Nonetheless, when I watched Chio, once again joyful and full of life, I couldn't help but smile. While I dislike arguing with Chio, in this case, our heated exchange seemed to have done some good. Yesterday, Chio would barely speak to me. Now we're strolling through the forest together. Apparently, a bit of communication was just what we needed. Chio and I avoided parts of the forest in which the boys and I had laid traps. We had set traps further into the forest than when we were hunting, made them large enough to snare an adult male. With that in mind, Chio and I remained vigilant, careful not to get skewered by our own protection.
Okay, we're almost at the river. You remember the way from here, don't you?
I do indeed. Thank you for guiding me this far.
My pleasure. I'll be close by, so just call out when you're done.
Will do. Don't stick too close by, though. Don't stick too close by, though. I'm actually quite shy, you know?
Of course, I'll make sure to... Wait, what was that?
Don't be ashamed. I know you've peeped on me while I was bathing before.
What?
But you're too old to bathe with Papa, so please refrain from doing so.
Are you insane? I've never tried to peep on you. If anything, you were the one trying to peep on me, eh?
That's not how I remember it.
Obviously, your memory's deteriorating in your old age, you perverted geezer.
Ouch. Who are you calling an old geezer? I'm only 24, you know.
Oh. So much for being 19.
How many years have we skipped?
Only one, so she's 15 and he is 24.
Okay, yeah, so straight out, father and daughter.
Yep. You are wrong, Chio! Enact your age. Shut your mouth and wash the sweat from your body.
Shit my mouth.
Shut your mouth. Call for me when you're done. You better be fully clothed.
Tired of our banter, Chio walked in the opposite direction of the river. She didn't stop, nor did she cast another glance my way. I was on my own once more, and until I had finished bathing, Chio would not grace my sight. Taking the time to thoroughly clean my body, I wound up bathing for far longer than planned. Occupied with the drama invading... Yes, the drama Occupied with the drama invading Hotsu village, I hadn't been bathing as often as I should, so I was overdue for a proper cleaning. More so than that, however, I simply wanted to take the chance to think everything through, free of any distractions. If there's one thing that hasn't changed between my life in the city and my life in Hotsu village, it's that a bath is the best place to forget your worries. Alone, floating in the water, away from any of the strife that plagues you amid your daily life. Whether you're in a bathtub or drifting down a river, the feeling of freedom does not change. However, now that I've had the time to clear my head, I realize that there is work to be done. Like filling my water bottle, I'm parched. Who knew that speaking for hours on end in a raspy voice
Yeah, that's what
would
I'm
dry out your
thinking, yeah.
throat? It's hard to say, really, which voice would be more draining. Probably this new one. However, now that I've had the time to clear my head, I realize that there is work to be done. First, as Chio insisted, I must speak to the Kihei boys. Whether I was right or wrong, I must make amends, lest they disobey my orders and get themselves killed. Next, I will speak to the villagers one by one and take the time to personally explain our predicament, who the Kotokushi are, and what to expect. Finally, I will organize rotating surveillance teams such that we will see the enemy coming, no matter when or from what direction. Chio-chan, I'm out of the bath now. Feeling like a great weight had been lifted from my shoulders, I gleefully called out to Chio, who was foraging close by.
Ko? What's wrong? Did you slip and hit your head?
Oh, don't be like that. I was just calling out to my precious daughter.
With honorifics and infantile tone?
Well, you always used to complain when I just called you Chio, and my voice is...
Don't complain.
Explain.
So don't explain, just act like your usual creepy self. He's not creepy.
I'm a little pallid despite being out in the sun all day. Ouch again. First I was a perverted geezer, and now I'm a creep. I'm getting quite the bad reputation here. All right. Creepy Ko it is. So, scrounge up something interesting for lunch?
Interesting might not be the word for it, but you'll definitely be able to eat your fill. I got persimmons, apples, pears, you name it.
Prompted by Chio's claim, I looked down into the basket at her feet. That's quite the haul. You really worked hard for Papa's sake.
Who said this was for your sake? I'm not gonna start starving myself. Besides, I wanted to make sure we had enough for dinner, too. It's not like I gathered more than usual.
Chio hurriedly denied my accusation, her face flushed the entire time. No matter how long we spent together, Chio would never admit to doing something for my sake. And thanks to my teasing whenever she did, that was unlikely to ever change. Okay, I understand. Let's head back to the village and eat lunch together. I'm famished.
Me too. I haven't been foraging as much these past few days, so I could really use a sizable meal. And maybe after we eat, you can apologize?
Very subtle, Chio. But don't worry. While I won't take back what I said, I will apologize for the manner in which I spoke. I want to get along with everyone just as much as you do.
I knew you'd come around. Make sure to tell me when you go to apologize. I want to see Ko on his hands and knees begging for forgiveness.
I'm not that sorry. As Chiyo and I encroached upon Hotsu village, the forest's usual ambiance suddenly died off.
You're right. You clocked it there.
Although nothing appeared to be amiss, I could feel something strange in the air, a disturbance I couldn't quite put my finger on. Something about the forest had changed, if not physically, then in a more discreet manner. I looked over at Chiyo, who walked along as happily as ever. If she noticed something too, she wasn't letting on. Chiyo simply continued to stroll through the forest without a care in the world. But Chiyo's behavior was not enough to convince me that I was wrong, nor was I about to pin my hopes on her But Chiyo's behavior was not enough to convince me that I was wrong, nor was I about to pin my hopes on her ability to sense danger. We're nearing the village now. If there is danger afoot, it mightn't necessarily be in the forest. But the only danger that comes to mind is what we've been preparing for. An assault by the Kotokushi. I couldn't see any sign of them in the distance as I looked towards Mirai earlier, and I haven't been in the forest long enough for such a distance to be covered. Could the threat be internal? None of the villagers were violent or unpredictable. The likelihood of one of them posing a threat or lashing out was minimal. Nonetheless, there were 4 blades in my home, not to mention the tools I used on a daily basis. If someone were to snap under pressure, violence may be imminent.
Ko? Are you feeling alright? You've been quiet for a while now.
I looked down at Chiyo, uncertain how best to answer her question. Honestly, I'm not sure. Chiyo, does something feel off to you?
Off? What do you mean?
I don't know. I suppose it's a sense of impending danger. Samurai are trained to sleep with one eye open, figuratively speaking. Samurai are trained to sleep with one eye open, figuratively speaking. We have a keen sense for when something is awry.
Are you sure you aren't just being paranoid? There's no danger around here. We all...
Chiyo stopped mid-sentence and began to sniff the air.
Fire.
I followed suit, paying more attention to the scent than I had before. And the moment I did, a horribly familiar scene played out before me.
Oh dear. Yep.
Hotsu village, in flames once more. The moment Chiyo spied the village, she dropped the basket in her hand and stared blankly at the flames. She froze, completely devastated as she watched history repeat itself. Chiyo, go back to the forest. Do not come out until I say so. I took charge immediately, but Chiyo remained despondent. The sight of indomitable flames taking away her home and her friends was too much for her to bear. Chiyo, back to the forest! Now!
What?
As I shouted at her, Chiyo finally snapped out of her daze. Her hand shook, and she looked from side to side, trying to find at least one villager. However, the only bodies we could see were corpses, torn to shreds without any hope of survival.
This can't be happening.
I'm sorry, my good dear, but it is. Now go!
Go! Not again. Again.
Chiyo! Listen to me!
I can't watch this happen again!
At long last, Chiyo ran off.
Oh, crap.
However, rather than return to the forest, Chiyo headed straight into the village, towards the Kihei home.
Oh, come on!
Damn it, Chiyo, this is not the time! Without wasting a second, I quickly followed after Chiyo. Usually I would outrun her with ease, but after training all morning, I no longer possessed such speed.
Crap!
All I could do was run, praying that I'd find her before the Kotokushi. Those bastards. The second I leave the village, they strike. They must have been watching me, waiting for the perfect time to invade. And in the time I was gone, every one of the villagers was... As I approached the Kihei home, I grimaced at the sight of 2 painfully familiar corpses. Azai and Araki, each wielding one of my blades. The moment the Kotokushi struck, those 2 headed straight for my home. The home of Koichiro-sama, the village leader, the person whose job it was to protect them. And when they couldn't find me, they took the matter into their own hands. Filled with both sadness and anger, I took my katana and wakizashi from the two boys. I bit my lips so hard I could feel the blood run down my face, meanwhile clenching each blade tighter than ever before. This kind of senseless slaughter is exactly why I left the Kotokushi in the first place. I left to get away from the bloodshed, to escape the role of a remorseless killer. But now that it's come to this,
Kojiro, help!
As rage and regret threatened to consume me, a lone voice dragged me back. I turned in the direction from which the voice came, and the moment I did, I realized that my initial fear had been realized.
Oh, crap. Oh, come on!
Oh, ho, ho. Look at who we have here. I heard you were seeking refuge in this village, but I never thought I'd actually find you. Ito? I dashed towards Chiyo's voice the moment she cried out, unaware of the absurd sight awaiting me. Dressed in the same outfit I had worn last year, that of the captain of the Kotokushi, was Ito, my childhood friend and rival.
Wow.
So you do remember me after all. It's been so long, I feared you may have forgotten me. Thankfully, that appears not to be the case. As I drew closer, Ito tightened his grip, bringing the edge of his katana an inch away from Chiyo's throat. You don't want the last remaining citizen of this village to be beheaded, do you? Or could it be that you've finally taken a liking to killing children? Ito smirked arrogantly, knowing well that I wouldn't want the death of an innocent bystander to hang over my head. Just kidding. I know you aren't like that. That's why you quit in the first place, right? Because you didn't have the stones for it anymore? Such a shame. You always possessed so much skill, yet never properly applied yourself to your job. Not that I'm complaining. Your betrayal just gave me one more chance to show everyone that I am your superior. I silently glared at Ito, contemplating my next move. With his flimsy grip, and the fact that he has his hilt and not the blade drawn to his throat, I could easily overcome her without threatening.
She could literally dip down and the blade would literally miss her.
She could lick his hand and completely disarm him.
She could bite him and disarm him.
I couldn't risk harming Chiyo, but at the same time I realized that doing nothing was not an option. I needed to bide time until an opening presented itself. What's wrong, Ko? So scared you can't talk? How embarrassing. The former captain of the Kotokushi has been reduced to a simple villager. Is this why you left Mirai? So you could live among other weaklings like yourself and... I just had this premonition that I was going to be interrupted.
Oh, yeah. Stop listening to him, Ko! You weren't a weakling. You're the strongest person I've ever known. But strength is meaningless if you don't use it! You said you protect this right? Then stop listening to him and do something, Ko!
Caught off guard, Ito looked down at Chiyo for a moment. He then looked back at me with the same disgusting smirk plastered on his face. You may not have forgotten about me, but it does sound like you've already gotten over Haruka. It hasn't even been a year and a half, and you've already moved on from the death of your wife?
Ko, please don't just stand there! Please! I already told you I don't want to die!
Haruka must be turning in her grave, watching her husband screw a little girl every night.
What the...
He's making assumptions.
Yeah, I know.
Is it true that younger is better? I've always wondered, but never actually gotten around to seeing for myself.
Why aren't you doing anything? Please, Kojiro, do something!
does this girl compare to Haruka? When the lights go out, do you pretend she's still with you?
Kojiro!
Silence. Domain expansion.
Yeah.
Delete
the
these
hell?
guys.
Oh boy.
He looks so disappointed.
I know, right? He's like, what the?
Is that all? Ito and Chio both stared in amazement, unable to follow my movements as I instantaneously cut down all of Ito's men. And then the dead villagers clapped. Their bodies fell to the floor without a sound, sliced open with cuts too fine to be made by a human. The last thing they heard was under my breath, me chanting, "Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor!" It wasn't until after their bodies fell apart that the blood escaped their corpses, pooling on the ground around Ito's feet.
Ko?
After my display, Chio was the first to speak up. She looked at me with wide eyes, unable to believe what I had just done. But Chio was not the target of my focus. Not yet. Ito. Ito spoke as I jumped his name. My voice was low and filled with malice, so much so that I surprised even myself. Did you really think that a surprise attack and a hostage would be enough to take me out? I took a step towards Ito. How foolish. What was it you called yourself before? My superior? I took another step forward, readying my blade. Ridiculous. Surely you do not believe that. I don't care how long it's been. I have always been without equal. You were just too arrogant to accept it. I raised my blade, pointing it over Chio's shoulder and directly at Ito's face. You should have just left me here to live out my days in peace. Now prepare yourself. By the time I had finished speaking, Ito's expression had turned from one of surprise to that of pure terror. His hand shook, and it seemed as though he would drop his blade at any second.
Fight him! Fight him now!
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't kill me. I'm your best friend, your only friend. My unchanging expression told Ito how little impact his words were having. Please, I'll leave, okay? I'll go back to Mirai and tell them you died in battle. How pathetic. Where'd your confidence from a moment ago disappear to, Ito? You brazenly insulted me, mocked Haru's death, insinuated that I would defile a young girl, and now you suddenly beg for forgiveness? Burn in hell, my best friend. I pulled my blade back and stepped forward, carefully maneuvering around Chio as I...
Wait a minute.
A split second before I could pierce Ito's throat, Chio shouted out. I rested my blade on Ito's shoulder, not taking my eyes off him for a moment as I questioned Chio's command. What is it, Chio? Can't you see that I'm in the middle of something? I spoke to Chio in a cold yet non-aggressive tone. Though she tried to hide it, I could see that Chio was already frightened, both by the village-wide slaughter and the Koichiro she thought she knew. So for her sake, if only for a moment, I showed an ounce of control.
Kawai, you shouldn't.
Chio fumbled to find the right words as she twitched nervously.
You shouldn't kill your friend. But he's not his friend anymore.
Friendship ended.
Friendship ended. He killed all the other people, so he's no friend now. Nope.
Yeah, I was gonna start at the pedophilia accusations, but yeah, that precedes it. It's also pretty heavy, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I shifted my gaze away from Ito for a moment. Chio, though frightened, appeared to be fairly calm, making her words carry slightly more weight. Nonetheless, I could only stare at her in confusion, completely incapable of understanding her plea. Are you insane? Listen to the girl, Ko. You don't want to do this.
Oh, yes, I do.
Ignoring Ito's desperate shriek, I prompted Chio once more. Chio, this man just slaughtered our entire village. The day when we met, he did the exact same thing. He may very well be the man who killed your parents. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't end his very existence. Chio let out a brief sigh, as though she had hoped I'd ask that very question.
It's just like my father once told me. Life is precious, Chio. Preserving life is something you should never feel bad about. But if we don't kill him, he's just going to keep killing. We're preserving life by getting rid of this asshole.
Time for intrusive thoughts was there.
Yeah.
It's just like my father once told me. The world is going to roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. I was looking kind of dumb with my finger and my thumb in the shape of an L on my forehead.
Oh, man.
I opened my eyes wide in shock, completely unprepared for what I just heard. Chio immediately gained my full attention, and in doing so, allowed Ito to escape.
Ugh.
Taking advantage of my close proximity, Ito shoved Chio into my arms, then ran for his life. But rather than give chase, I felt content to hold Chio in my arms, still staring at her in amazement. The young girl from back then, who astounded me with her strong will to live, once again proved worthy of praise. Talking someone down when they're prepared to kill is not easy. It requires delicacy and precise knowledge of the would-be killer. Despite that, Chio, a girl who showed me nothing but fear moments prior, was able to pull it off without the slightest hint of difficulty. Once again, Chio has shown me how truly amazing she is. As Ito fled in our village... Check, please. As Ito fled and our village burned down, Chio returned my blank stare with a smile.
Come on, Ko. There's no time to waste. It may be too late to save the villagers. We can at least stop the fire.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Really?
I don't know how much of the village we'll be able to save, but let's do what we can. And when we're done, we shall rebuild our lives once more.
Okay.
A little more than one person, but...
I guess I get the point, but I still would have killed Ito just because...
Wait, Michael Kovac, I recognize that name.
Like, I would have taken Ito out just because he's going around slaughtering innocent people for shits and giggles. You know what I mean? Like, and in this kind of era, the justice system isn't going to fix this guy. He really needs to kind of, like, take a long walk off a short pier.
Yeah. Oh, that's where I recognize him from. Wow, what a coincidence. The voice of Jax.
Oh, there you go.
Was a samurai. One of the voices we heard before I turned it off.
Okay. I mean, it's you know what it is? It's all about situation. In that situation, I don't think that would have been the best place for the message or lesson she learned to go. It's like there. You know what it is? You gave them mercy once, and that's what matters. But in this case, they spat on you and killed everybody. So now you need to make sure they don't continue to kill everybody. Not to mention, now that you let them go, they know where you live and they'll come back. It's like, don't worry, we'll just start all over again. And now that fucker will come back and kill everybody a third time. It's like, no, Chio, honey, I now is not the time to learn this lesson. This is the situation where you're right. He can't die fast enough.
Well, on the other hand, at this point, it just sounds like you're feeding shelter cats to the wild leopards.
On top
Keep
of
sending
that,
armies down to die to this guy.
on top of that, like, why do the goons get to die, but not this dude? Like he's orchestrating the whole thing, you know? You took out his men, they were okay dying apparently. Oh, but not Ito, he was your friend. Like,
Not sure how much he orchestrated it. Like, he's definitely got his superiors, and he definitely enjoyed doing it.
mm-hmm. So yeah, he was the scout. He told them, so it is his fault.
He wasn't the scout.
He was the
scout
captain.
Yeah.
So even more responsible. So yeah.
As Hotsu village burned to the ground, Chio and I had a decision to make. This isn't plugged in.
Mm.
Her home, and more recently mine, could only be rebuilt so many times. Further to that, the Kotokushi, and thus the Mirai Kingdom, knew where to find us, making the village a definite target.
Mm-hmm.
If we chose to embrace the familiarity of Hotsu, we would eventually be hunted down. On the other hand, we could only wander for so long. The food and water we could carry from the forest was not without limit, and neither one of us knew where we might find another habitable village. Leaving Hotsu, though certainly a wise choice, would not guarantee us salvation. Instead, the gamble might leave us without supplies in the middle of nowhere, or trapped in an enemy village. Even knowing this, Chio and I ultimately decided to take the horse of one of the fallen samurai. We headed in the opposite direction of Mirai, towards the kingdom I once opposed. A kingdom in which we would find protection from the Kotokushi, knowing that even they wouldn't dare tread in such a place. I'm still not sure about this. Gotta keep hitting that right button.
Mm.
Will they really take us in? I've never been this far away from Mirai before.
Quit worrying, Ko. This isn't the Mirai Kingdom we're talking about. Not everyone settles disputes with swords, you know.
True enough. While Mirai was seemingly set on expansion, the kingdom we were traveling towards possessed no such goal. Not once had I heard of them burning down villages or extorting resources from others. Despite their military might, the kingdom opposing Mirai appeared to value peace. Be that as it may, we have no way of knowing whether we'll be accepted or not. What will we do if they turn us away?
They won't turn us away.
Okay, but if they turn us away, what will we do?
Yeah, you need to come up with a plan. Even Hotsu occasionally traded with other villages. If we tell them that Mirai wiped out our village, they'll definitely take us in.
That's not how politics works.
Just don't tell them that you were the captain of the Kotokushi, okay?
Of course. Even I wouldn't say something that tactless. Laughing at Chio's optimism and humble plea, my mood picked back up. Worried though I may be, I knew that Chio was right. We had already come too far to turn back. Worry not. When we arrive, I'll tell them who I am, not who I once was. I am Koichiro Ayase, a wandering samurai hunted by the Mirai Kingdom, who seeks nothing more than refuge for his beloved daughter.
Yay!
Well, I thought that was pretty good. There are a couple of blemishes here or there, but it actually had its compelling moments.
Mm-hmm.
And though it did stir up some concerns, they did not actualize them, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you deserve points for that, but...
Ooh.
Ooh. A lot of reading today.
A lot of reading.
So, I don't quite know what was happening with the intended game, Hopefully that will be resolved by next week, and if not, then I guess maybe Ravi Ribi tells us its opinion. But it's also spreading to other games. That's a future problem. Anything else while we've got people here? We're cutting off a little early, but it's not like we're going to start up another thing.
Nah, this was cool. Definitely was playing into some tropes, like the whole dynamic that they were doing with her being all flustered and trying to decide their family dynamic. I've seen it done before. I'm glad the visual novel didn't follow through with it, okay? Like, I've seen this done, okay? And
what was that manga? It was like The Big Betrayal?
Yeah, that one. Ichigo Drop. I think that's what it's called. Something Drop?
Maybe? It could be. It's just not ringing a bell.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Usagi Drop. There we go.
Okay, that
Usagi
sounds familiar.
Drop.
Okay.
That's the one. I've seen that trope done before, and in a lot of wish fulfillment weird isekai, there's a lot of adopted daughter turned love interest tropes that I wish would die in a ditch. So I'm glad they didn't follow through with this. That was just kind of awkward and
I mean, they kind
weird.
of like presented it as a bit of a conflict, but it kind of got settled pretty quick.
It got settled eventually, yeah. So, thank you for not going down that route, visual novel. I'm really glad you didn't, and there was, yeah.
And I did call this a kinetic novel at the top. I just very briefly, as I was looking up a brief summary, they call themselves a kinetic novel for the reason that there are no choices to make.
Yeah, you're just going forward.
Yeah. It's a new term, though, so I don't know how popular that is.
Mm-hmm. That would explain. I was waiting for a choice, but it never came up, so that makes sense now.
Yeah, so in that sense, is it a game?
It's just a visual novel.
Well, no, a visual novel has choices, and therefore there's engagement.
It could be a more literal term of it, I guess.
I'm not disparaging it as art. I'm not saying it was bad or anything. I'm just thinking semantically. You're not making engaged decisions, so unless you count like scrolling back text or when you save, which I don't.
Yeah.
Well, good experience. So with that, I think we are done for tonight. Thank you everyone for coming out, and until next time, take care.
Bye!